Hello, my name is Mrs. Pedro. Today we're going to talk about past students of Mount St Mary's High School in Leeds. These are the aims and objectives. The learning objective is to learn about past students and their achievements and careers. The success criteria, so by the end of this, you'll be able to explain and learn from past students, and you'll be able to set your own goals for your life and your career. So, first task, I want you to get a piece of paper. This is only for yourself, you don't have to share it with the class. I want you to answer these questions. 1. What is your ultimate goal in life? 2. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? 3. What do you want to achieve before you are 30 years old? And I am 30 years old. So, let's ask the teacher. Maybe you can pause this and take turns to ask the teacher questions. Some questions are, when you were at school, what do you want to be? What did you do after school? Did you have any part-time jobs? Can you explain your career journey? What advice would you give your class about careers and life? Here are some videos you can watch later, and if you go back, you can. I'll send the links. So this is a past student of Mount St Mary's High School. She sent me this information, so she's happy for it to be shared. And these are the grades that she got. They seem good. Her favourite subject was health and social care, and her favourite teacher was Mrs. Taylor. She's just retired last year, so she may have taught you. What jobs do you think she could have done with the above grades and subjects? What do you think about the grades she achieved? So maybe pause the video and have a class discussion. So, life after school for Abby. So, after Mount St Mary, she went to Notre Dame and she studied philosophy, ethics, sociology, and classics. Then she went to Sheffield Hallam University and studied criminology. She had a few jobs. She had some few part-time jobs working in Primark and being a senior team member at Greggs. What jobs do you think she could do with the above experience and subjects? And why should you get a part-time job as a student? Pause the video and then you can answer these questions. So Abby's career. Now she's a youth and community project worker and she mainly does youth work. She works on 3 different programs and they're in Calderdale. She works for a charity and they are paying for her to do her youth work level 3. And when she finishes her level 3, she wants to do a master's degree. So first of all, you do a normal degree at university and then you can do an extra year to do a master's degree, which usually costs around £10,000, but her work are going to pay for her. And she's doing it 1 evening a week at Bradford College and still working full time. So what's Abby's advice to Mount St Mary's students? My piece of advice has to be, don't worry about the future. I used to do it on a regular. Work hard in the moment and everything will fall in place. Don't panic if you don't know what you want to do in the future. Also, another bit of advice, if you're going through a hard time in high school right now, speak to somebody, they can help you. High school isn't forever, it will end. I personally really struggled in high school, so I think that piece of advice would have helped me. And this is another past student called Maria McKim. So, Maria's favourite teacher was Mr. Wilfred. He had great banter, he had respect from everyone. Mr. Copley had truly believed in me and encouraged me to get a B in history. Mrs. Doyle was amazing with me, so nurturing. She was such a support in my last year. History and RE were my favourite subjects because I was good at them, and I got 10 GCSEs, A to C. Predicted grades were poor, but she studied really hard. And then she went to Notre Dame to study law and health and social care. At university, she went to Leeds Metropolitan, which is now Leeds Beckett, and she did a degree in health and social care. While doing the degree, I came back to Mount St Mary's to volunteer and had a paid position as a TA, teaching assistant. This is while working part-time at Morrison's. I had two TA jobs whilst at university, primary schools whilst figuring out if I wanted to be a teacher. In the end, I decided to go against it and apply for several jobs, landing the one I'm in now. So, what jobs could she do with the above experience and subjects? Why should you volunteer as a student? I'll give you a few minutes to answer these questions. So maybe pause the video. So Maria's career. She now works in a children's residential home as a senior practitioner, and she implements a therapeutic program called, it's a very long word, dialectic behavioral therapy, DBT. She loves her job. She works with children aged 10 to 17. She has a lot of passion from experience from Mount St Mary's as a TA, and that pointed her in the right direction. She's still studying whilst working full-time, and she's studying at Leeds Trinity University to get a degree in leadership and management. Therefore, learning never stops, and it is brilliant where it's possible to learn and gain more experience. So her advice to Mount St Mary's students. I think I'll tell 16-year-olds today it'll be okay, that you don't need to have all the answers, and sometimes you have to take risks with applying for jobs. Never doubt your abilities and take your time. Enjoy the journey, work hard, it'll all be worth it in the end. So a few questions, pause the video and answer these questions. What do Maria and Abby have in common? Do they do any similar subjects? What skills do they need for their careers? How can you develop those skills? What kind of jobs did they have as students? How do you think this helped them? What can you learn from them? If you forgot to, maybe you have to go back a few slides, but I was just testing that you're awake and listening. This is Lola. She sent me a beautiful poster that she did about herself. She's only 24. She's an interior architecture and design graduate. I'm not going to read all of it, but if you pause it, you can read it yourself. And this is some more information about Lola. And you can see at the bottom that she graduated from the University of Hertfordshire. So I'm just going to read the advice that Lola gives to the 16-year-olds at Mount St Mary's School. Be organised. Get yourself a planner and a notebook to jot down ideas and plan out your week in advance. Always go at your own pace. Aim to do better than you did yesterday. You'll soon notice improvements with your timekeeping. Do not be afraid to ask for help. There's no such thing as a stupid question. The only stupid question is the one you didn't ask. Reward yourself. Always treat yourself for every achievement, no matter how big or small. So maybe pause this video, have a bit of a more read about Lola. What can you learn from Lola? I've done a poster about Gareth Brooke. Gareth Brooke left Mount St Mary's in 2004. He had 10 GCSEs, grade A to C. He used to have drumming lessons at school and wanted to be a music teacher at 16. I put at the top his journey, so he went to Notre Dame, then he went to Park Lane College, which is Leeds City College, to do travel and tourism, and then he went to Leeds Met or Leeds Beckett and did an events management HND, which is like a year of university. He worked his way up from a part-time waiter during university and now works in the same hotel as a cluster events manager, looking over meetings, private dining and wedding bookings for 2 4-star hotels. So what advice would he give Mount St Mary's students? Don't put too much pressure on yourself if you feel like you don't know what you want to do in the future. I think that line sounds exactly the same as somebody, I think Maria or Abby said that. In year 11, I had gone from working to be a music teacher to potentially being a website designer and ended up traveling the world and working within some of the most prestigious hotels in the country. The courses I studied also allowed me to chance to live and work in Spain and New York. So, lessons learned from Gareth. You can change your career throughout your life. You just need to work, you just need hard work, qualifications, and transferable skills in order to be successful. You never know what a part-time job as a student can lead to. So during lockdown, weddings were postponed until next year, and some wedding venues closed down, including hotels. So, what skills does Gareth need to, one, keep calm? And what happens if you're made redundant? What do you think he should do? So, task for everybody. You need to write a letter to yourself. This letter you'll be opening in 10 years' time. So, things to include motivation and encouragement for your future self, how you're feeling about your life and future right now. What do you want to be in 10 years' time? Job, life, goals. You might have to plan it, you don't have to write it straight away. But here's an example. Dear myself, so remember I'm opening this in 10 years' time. I wrote this when I was 15 years old. I'm worried about my future. I know I always work hard and just want to be successful. I hope when you read this, you are happy and you have a great job. Now, I want to own my own business and I hope I can achieve my goals. I also want to achieve all sixes at GCSE, or if I try harder, I could achieve higher. I hope that I am married with children and I live in my own house by the park. All the best for the next 10 years. Yours, Harry. So, how will your letter look to yourself? And remember, this is personal to you, so nobody else is going to read it. Maybe plan the letter before you write it. Only has to be a paragraph or two. So, to conclude, some lessons learned from this PowerPoint. Life does not always go to plan. You can learn from others. Hard work experience, and qualifications help you succeed in life. Speak to elders, teachers, your family, and friends about how they succeeded in their career. If you're interested in a particular career, seek a mentor who works in that field. Either go on LinkedIn or speak to family and friends. Always do voluntary and part-time work to build your skills and add to your CV. Learning and education does not stop at school. We saw before a few people were doing further education, even working full-time. So you might be going to university and then doing a qualification afterwards. That's the end of the slideshow, and thank you for listening.